What if you were told that iPhones were found in the ocean, that a dog was spotted 100 miles from shore, and that a ghost ship was seen drifting nearly 3 centuries after it vanished? It sounds made up, but every bit of it is real. The sea hides not only storms and treasure, but also stories so breathtaking they seize your imagination. In this selection, you will find 16 sea mysteries so strange that it is hard to believe them until you see them. And closer to the finale, you will hear about a ship that suddenly returned 277 years later. In 2022, sailors off the coast of Japan discovered something odd. A tiny creature, roughly 30 centimeters long, immediately drew attention with its appearance. A hybrid of something fish-like and something human. It resembled the mythical mermaid from Japanese legend, the Ningyo. According to lore, the flesh of this being grants immortality, and the creature itself possesses healing powers. The find was placed in a local shrine, treated almost religiously. Yet later, scientists analyzed it and revealed a disappointing truth. The mermaid was a cleverly made fake created during the Edo period, between the 17th and 19th centuries. It had been assembled from parts of different animals and presented as an exotic souvenir. This tale is an example of how human curiosity about the supernatural easily turns into business. Now let us move to the shores of Mexico, where fishermen stumbled upon something cast up by the sea. A half-decomposed body with fangs and shaggy growths on its skin left everyone asking one question: what is it? Specialists never reached a consensus. Some suggested it was the corpse of a seal, others thought it an unknown species, yet no explanation fit. The creature did not match any biological classification. And although science provided no answer, the discovery sparked a wave of discussion. What if there truly are ocean beings we have not yet described? A Japanese fishing trawler working in the waters off Christchurch, New Zealand, hauled something ancient. The creature was about 10 meters long and weighed nearly 2 tons. It had a long neck, 4 limbs, and a massive tail, exactly like a plesiosaur from a paleontology textbook. But the stench of decay was so unbearable that the crew, plugging their noses, decided to throw the find back overboard. They simply could not endure it. Later, the captain admitted he regretted the decision. To this day, no one knows for sure what exactly they caught. Perhaps it was a species unknown to science, or a creature preserved from prehistoric times. In 2023, off the coast of France, a group of sailors found a floating container. Such finds are not rare. Every year, hundreds of cargoes fall into the sea during storms. But this one was special. At first, no one knew what was inside. Maybe rubbish, maybe contraband. Yet when they opened it, they saw hundreds of brand new iPhones, still in factory packaging. Hard to believe, but it was a genuine treasure. However, the joy was short-lived. By law, even if you find something valuable at sea, it does not automatically become yours. Maritime law governs such situations, and simply taking the devices would mean liability. This case reminded everyone. The ocean can be generous, but it does not necessarily give up its riches so easily. Where does light end and the abyss begin? At a depth of more than 26,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface lies a realm where no sunlight reaches, the Mariana Trench. There, in 2023, scientists discovered something entirely new: a ghost fish. This creature, with a translucent body nearly invisible in water, earned its name for its ephemeral, ghostly appearance. The abyss where it lives is one of the most inhospitable environments on the planet. Pressure here is 1,000 times higher than at the surface. Temperature hovers near zero, and oxygen is scarce. Yet the fish survives. It lacks bones as we know them. Its body consists of soft, flexible tissues adapted to extreme conditions. The discovery proved how profoundly life can adapt, and who knows how many similar beings still hide in the darkness. Now imagine a creature you would gladly never meet even in a nightmare. The football fish, also called an anglerfish, lives at depths from 2,300 to 3,000 feet in the Pacific Ocean. When one washed ashore near Cannon Beach, Oregon, even the most stoic onlookers froze in horror. It earned its name from its body shape. Indeed, like an American football. Its eyes are tiny and perpetually angry-looking, and its mouth brims with sharp teeth. But the strangest thing is its lifestyle. Females are large, aggressive, hunting with a glowing lantern on the head. Males, by contrast, are tens of times smaller, never hunt at all, and live attached to the female, literally fusing with her body and feeding off her. This frightening yet fascinating symbiotic bond is another reminder of how far evolution can go in the struggle to survive. Fishermen off Australia's west coast caught what seemed at first an ordinary yellowfin tuna, but only at first glance. A long, strange protrusion stuck out from its head, almost like a marine unicorn. One might think it was a new species, previously unknown to biology. Yet specialists quickly determined the horn was not a sign of a new species, but the result of injury. The trauma had produced a tumor that gave the fish its unusual appearance. Although such mutations are rare, they do occur. This case again proves how complex and unpredictable the marine world can be. Even among familiar species, nature sometimes creates genuine anomalies. Some sea finds are so strange that without a photo, they are hard to believe. That happened off the coast of Indonesia when fishermen caught a pregnant shark. Inside were 3 pups. 2 looked normal, but the third, it had a single enormous eye in the center of its head. Not 2 eyes like all others, but one, giant. This was a cyclopic anomaly, a rare genetic defect in which the eye sockets do not separate during embryonic development. For marine biologists, it was a chance to study a unique case. For the fishermen, it was a sign of luck. Perhaps because even deformities at sea are viewed as something supernatural. The ocean is not only biology, but also superstition, legend, fear. It happened suddenly. A vessel appeared on the horizon. People on the beach froze. It moved slowly, as if rising from the past. Later, it turned out the ship had disappeared nearly 277 years earlier. Yes, you heard correctly, there really were people on board. And as eyewitnesses later reported, what they found inside was so shocking that photos had to be blurred. The bodies were still there, more than 2 centuries later. Seeing what happens to a human body after 230 years at sea is not for the faint-hearted. What was it? An artifact of the past looped in time? Or another reason to wonder whether we truly know everything about the ocean? The Greenland shark is a living reminder of how slowly, yet inexorably, time moves in the ocean depths. Imagine, in 2023, not in the Arctic, but in the warm waters of the Caribbean Sea, an international research team tracking tiger sharks suddenly discovered one. It was a genuine surprise. Greenland sharks usually inhabit the icy depths of the Arctic Ocean. These giants can live up to 500 years, longer than any other vertebrate on the planet. They move slowly, grow slowly, and live incredibly long thanks to an extremely slowed metabolism. What was it doing in the Caribbean? Scientists still speculate. Perhaps this is evidence of changing climate and currents, or perhaps an exception that proves the rule. In any case, the discovery again showed how flexible even the most ancient species can be. Beside it is another no less astonishing creature that has existed since prehistoric times, the Atlantic horseshoe crab. Though called a crab, it is actually closer to arachnids, a relative of scorpions and spiders. These living fossils appeared about 450 million years ago and survived everything: extinctions, ice ages, shifting eras. Their blood is blue because it contains copper instead of iron like ours. Precisely for this reason, it has a unique property. When it contacts bacterial toxins, it clots instantly. That makes it invaluable in medicine for testing the sterility of vaccines, syringes, and IVs. In nature, horseshoe crabs are equally important. Their eggs are a key food source for migratory birds. These creatures are like a bridge between past and present, reminding us that ancient does not mean weak. On the contrary, it can be the highest form of adaptation. Now let us shift to the mid-20th century and uncover one of the most sinister sea mysteries. In October 1955, a vessel called Joya set sail from Apia, the capital of Samoa. On board were 25 people, 15 crew members and 10 passengers. The voyage should have taken no more than 2 days. The weather was good, yet the ship vanished. After a few days, searches began. Only 2 weeks later, on the 10th of November, the Joya was found, adrift off Fiji, nearly 700 miles from its course. No crew, no signs of life. The vessel was partially flooded, but had not sunk. The radio was on and tuned to the distress frequency. The lifeboats were gone, as was most of the cargo. Yet there were no signs of struggle, no mechanical damage. The engine worked. The rudder was intact. What happened? Some say pirate attack, others an internal quarrel, or the captain's death causing chaos. There are darker theories, that former Japanese soldiers seized the vessel, or that something supernatural occurred. The Joya remains on the list of history's most mysterious maritime disappearances. A ghost ship found without a trace of crew continues to frighten and intrigue at once. And now, one of England's most enigmatic sea legends, retold for centuries. The story of the three-masted ship Lady Lavabond began in February 1748. Aboard were Captain Simon Reed and his young bride, Annette. They embarked on a romantic voyage, a wedding cruise to Portugal. Yet no one knew that the ship's first mate, John Rivers, was secretly in love with Annette. Consumed by jealousy, on the night of the 13th of February, he murdered the captain and steered the ship straight onto the rocks at the treacherous Goodwin Sands. The vessel broke apart and everyone aboard perished. But here is the strange part. Every 50 years, on the exact same day, witnesses report seeing the ship again. It emerges from the fog, lights gleaming, and the sounds of celebration echo. The last reported appearances were in 1798, 1848, 1898, and 1948. In 1998, people waited on shore, but the ship did not appear. The next manifestation is expected in 2048. A ghost of love, betrayal, and doom, the Lady Lavabond still stirs the imagination and may well become part of your next sea legend. Sea ghosts are not always ships. Sometimes the specters are the deep's inhabitants themselves, and the deeper a person descends, the more it feels like entering an alien world. In a realm without light, without warmth, without familiar life forms, there arise beings capable of frightening even the toughest researchers. Bioluminescent jellyfish, octopuses with transparent bodies, fish with enormous teeth and glowing lures. This is not fantasy, but reality. The anglerfish, that football fish, is far from the only monster of the abyss. Some of these creatures have been accidentally netted by fishermen or washed ashore after undersea tremors. Yet most still lurk in the darkness, where a human could not survive a minute. Such beings inspire horror film scriptwriters because their appearance is not merely bizarre. It is a reminder of how little we know about our own planet. Imagine you are sailing the ocean and suddenly notice something green ahead. It is no illusion. It is a miniature island. That is exactly what fishermen near Sumatra encountered. At first, they thought it was just a pile of trash, but as they drew closer, they realized it was a raft of plants. It was covered with palms, lianas, grass, and looked like a tiny paradise corner in the middle of the sea. The size of this platform was about 43 square feet. Small, yet enough to amaze. Where did it come from? The mystery remains. Perhaps it was torn from shore during a storm. Maybe it is part of a mangrove forest wrenched out by its roots. But the fact stands, even in the emptiest part of the ocean, one can find a tiny green shard of land. In 2021, in the ocean near Florida, an incident melted even the most cynical hearts. A crew on a private boat noticed something white drifting on the waves. At first, they thought it was a sack or debris. Yet, as they drew closer, it turned out to be a dog. A small Jack Russell Terrier desperately paddling in the water. The dog was exhausted, but still holding on. The crew immediately rushed to rescue him. They lifted him aboard and saw a tag on his collar, the name Zuko. Thanks to the tag, they found the owners, who said Zuko had fallen overboard from their boat and vanished. They believed they would never see him again. This was not merely a rescue operation. It was a small triumph of humanity. Even in the heart of the ocean, amid emptiness, there was room for kindness. And now, another incredible tale, also with a dog, but this time even farther from land. In 2019, roughly 135 miles off the coast of Thailand, workers on an oil platform spotted a brown dog. She was in the water, clinging to the platform's metal beams. No one knew how she had gotten so far from shore. Perhaps a current swept her from a fishing boat, or she fell overboard and swam a long way. The main thing is, she survived. Workers threw her a rope, hauled her onto the platform, and gave her the name Boon Rod, which in Thai means survivor. Later, she was taken ashore, where a veterinarian examined her. Remarkably, her health was good. Since then, Boon Rod has never been alone again. This story became a symbol of how living beings can endure where there seems not a single chance. Will Franson's story is one that stays with you forever. It began with a routine fishing trip off New Zealand. Will was fishing alone, and at some point when he hooked an especially strong catch, the pull dragged him overboard. The boat, set on autopilot, continued ahead. Will remained alone in the water, 34 miles from shore. He tried to swim, but the current was too strong. Day turned to night. Morning came. For nearly 24 hours, he was in open ocean without a life vest, without help, with hope nearly gone. Then, when his strength was fading, he saw a fishing vessel in the distance. He could no longer shout, so he did the only thing he could. He removed his watch and used it as a mirror, flashing sunlight. The crew spotted the glint and steered toward him. They saved him. This story is not merely about survival. It is about resourcefulness, courage, and how even the simplest object can save a life if you refuse to give up. If these stories took your breath away, then the ocean has done its job. And there are still more secrets, finds, and mysteries waiting for you to discover them. Give a like if you found it interesting, and subscribe so you do not miss the most unusual things. See you soon, and remember, in the depths, there is always something we have not yet seen.